Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome, everyone, to Aggressive Negotiations, a Star Wars podcast, and we're a little off-kilter. We do things a little bit differently, and everybody who's listening to the sound of my voice, you probably know I'm Jedi Master Matthew Rushing, and of course, with me every time that we record, because I couldn't do this show alone, Jedi Master John Mills.
I am here, Matthew. You're absolutely right, and it is a pleasure, as always, sir, to speak with you about Star Wars. And a little bit excited about this week.
Well, John, I know why you're excited, because we were trying to figure out, what do we want to talk about? And I brought the idea, what if we talked about Star Wars video games?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, video games, I think, for so many fans have had a huge influence, especially in those years where, you know, Star Wars wasn't there.
Yeah.
And my first real experience with a Star Wars video game was Super Star Wars.
That was the first one.
On Super NES.
The Super NES Super Star Wars game. No, that was the first experience for you. That's awesome. That is a hell of a way to come in, man.
I know, man. That game is so flippin' good. In fact, if I could find a way to play that game still, I'm sure you could probably get an emulator or something on your computer.
Oh, I'm sure.
But that game just rocked. It was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was also a very frustrating game at the end, because when you blew up Darth Vader and he spun off, and then and you thought you won, and then he came back. Fun story. I actually, the first time that happened, I didn't handle it well, and sometimes Mongo, when he gets mad, he doesn't know his own strength. And I had been playing the game and he came back in and killed me. And it was one of those, you know, everybody's had the experience of throwing the controller on the ground with the what the F moment, right? I went, what the F? And I jumped up off the couch that I was playing in our family room, and I spun around without thinking, and I just shoved that couch for all I was worth and created a brand new hole in the family room wall. And I came up with the most insanely stupid fake reason for it to try to stay out of trouble. And my friend Joey was there watching me try to explain my way out of the hole. And my mom, God rest her soul, I will never forget, every time I tried to BS my way out of things, and this moment stands out in my mind specifically because it's tied with the video game, but my mom had one of her trademark looks of, I know you're lying, but we're both going to tell this story because we don't want your dad to get upset at either one of us for what you just did. So we're going to cover for each other on this one. And like, there was no words. It was just behind the eyes. And so every time I think of Super Star Wars, I think of that hole in the wall and that nonverbal contract with my mom to keep us both in a calmer household. So my dad wouldn't go, what happened to my wall?
Awesome, man. What was your first Star Wars game,
Well,
John?
I mean, I had the good fortune. I'm a little bit older, just a tiny bit older than you are. So I still remember Star Wars games being in the arcade, like the original Return of the Jedi game.
Yes.
And I remember, even though I wasn't, you know, playing it when it was first released, but they still had in the occasional super big arcade that original wireframe trench run game with the X-Wings.
Oh, yes.
That was still in existence. And it, like, you could still find it every so often at an off the beaten path arcade. You can like walk in there, you're like, oh, it's still working. But I would say that the game that hooked me, the game that for me, whenever you start a conversation about Star Wars video games, that will always first rise to my mind is going to be Star Wars X-Wing, which was a PC game.
Yes.
It was a flight simulator. For anybody that didn't play it, it was a flight simulator where you got to fly these different X-Wing missions. And the Sons of Guns, what they did was they made it more realistic in terms of like how speed and slowing down worked in space and how you had to like move.
Oh, yeah, they did.
And the specific memory with that one, a lot of, I really have to come to terms with the fact that I would probably be a Sith if Force powers were real, because
that's funny.
There was this one mission, I believe it was the 8th mission in the expansion pack, where there was a long line of transport convoys. And the thing you had to do as the X-Wing was you had to go in and you had to defend a certain number of these convoy ships to the hyperspace lane, so that they could get away. And I would always miss it by like one ship. And it was always one of those ones where I was like, where was that last ship? What are you talking about? And I would and it would drive me nuts. And I remember taking a test that day. It was an English test. And I was just mad. I was just mad because I was convinced I'd botched the test. And I'd been staying up and I'd been studying. And I was just worn out and angry. And I came in and I whooped up on that mission. And it was one of those things where like the anger gave me the power to succeed. But Star Wars X-Wing
you don't know the power of the dark side.
I still wish that Star Wars X-Wing was available for like the Xbox 360, because I don't think my kids would see me. I was like, where's Daddy? He's in the basement playing the game. Still? It's been 4 days. Yes, I know. And they're telling him if he doesn't come into work, they're going to fire him. Like, that's how much I love that game.
Do not drink out of the Coke bottles.
Yes, yeah, right, exactly. The mason jars in the corner, those are Daddy's. So yeah, I mean,
that game was so cool.
Super Star Wars is definitely your favorite. It's still your favorite, or
it's Super Star Wars is the game that really kicked it off. And I mean, God, I loved Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, Super Return of the Jedi. I also played X-Wing. I thought that game was a lot of fun. My friend had the computer, so I had to play it at his house.
That's always a drag.
And yeah, exactly. My first other real experience came from playing on another friend's computer, which was playing Dark Forces.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the one that really got me into the idea of the first-person shooter.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's Star Wars, and you were getting to be a stormtrooper, and that game was so fun. So that was really the game, next to the Nintendo games, the Super Nintendo games, that really kind of continued to fuel that fire was the original Dark Forces. Man, do
you remember the invincibility code?
So good.
I still remember the unlimited weapons code and the invincibility code from that game.
I can't tell you. No, I don't remember them anymore.
The unlimited weapons code the codes always started with LA for LucasArts. The unlimited weapons code was LA Postal, and because for anybody who's maybe a little bit younger or their memory has faded, the term "going postal" had to do with the fact that so many people who worked for the U.S. Post Office were going nuts and killing their coworkers. So it was a tasteless joke, but at the same time. Unlimited weapons, LA Postal, it made sense. And LA I am lame was the invincibility code. Unlimited weapons, untouchable, invincible code. You had to type in LA I am LAME. And the first time, like you'd see it as the lowercase letters when somebody shared the code with you. And you'd be like, oh, okay, I don't know what that means. And then you type it in and you'd be like, oh, thanks, guys. So like basically they were the designers were actually giving you the finger if you decided to use the cheat codes. Didn't stop me from using them, mind you.
That was one of the fun things about those games was, after you had beat them, to go in and use those codes and then just like rip up. I mean, just go running around doing whatever the heck you wanted.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think I ever beat Dark Forces without a cheat code. That final... No, I did. I beat it with the cheat code first, and then I went back. And because with the cheat code, you could figure out where all the hidden stuff was. So I guess it really was a cheat code. But like, yeah, it was after the fact that I beat it without a cheat code. Because that last Dark Trooper was... That was a pain in the butt, man. That guy was awful.
Oh, yeah. I'm just remembering all the video games I've played. How many times have you wanted to throw your freaking controller through the television? I mean, I think that's the life of every gamer. You get to that point. And I mean, how many of us have done this where we've just taken the controller and thrown it at the couch because at least it's landing on something soft and it made us feel better for a minute second?
Yeah, no, You know I'll never forget. There was something in the distant past when stand-up arcade games before the home computer revolution really took off, where they did something where they talked about how blood pressure playing video games would playing. They were basically saying playing video games was bad for your kid's health. Nobody listened, obviously, but I believe it, because you play these games, they get so frustrating. You get so frustrated with stuff, and that's the whole reason why, like when the Battlefront games came along later, my tendency has always been not to play campaign, and it's the same way I play Batman games is the way I'll play Star Wars games, which is the free play. You know, to go in, there's no pressure to like complete this big story arc or anything like that. I'll play that, but in bits and pieces, because I don't want to get that worked up about something. And so that's why the Battlefront games always just made my heart sing, because they basically, it was like, just pick a couple of maps and do you want to just go in and just shoot things and chop things up for a little while? Yeah, okay. I'm good with it. I got 10 minutes to spare. Sure. You want to become an AT-AT walker and shoot people? Yeah, well, yes, I do. Thank you. Yes, I do. Okay.
Oh, man.
We've talked about Dark Forces, though. What did you think of Dark Forces 2? Because that never got traction with me.
Oh, my God. I love Dark Forces 2, playing as Kyle Katarn, Jedi Knight. That game is the game that set me off on the course of this is as close as I'll ever get to being a Jedi. I can't even express how much I loved Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2.
Interesting.
And then, of course, they had Jedi Outcast, which was even better. Oh, man. Running around with a lightsaber and the things that you could do in that game, it was pre the prequels. So, especially Jedi Knight. Right. And it's just what you imagine Jedi being like. It was just blew my mind.
Well, the rules for being a Jedi were a little blurrier before the prequels, so there wasn't as much of an adherence to a code. There, it was okay to blow people up and chop them to pieces. There was no sort of eschewing emotion for anything. But see, I think that's interesting right there, because I think that possibly, because we've had conversations about this elsewhere, that like with the Rogue One trailer, like Star Wars Rogue One has been a movie that the very concept of it from the beginning has been like, yeah, I can't wait to see this. And it's been a little bit of a harder sell with you. I think that's a fair comment to make. Yeah?
Oh, yeah. No, I would say at the very beginning, yes.
I would say that ties in with what you just said about Dark Forces 2. Dark Forces 2 didn't really gain traction with me because I was never, like in the gaming world, I was never as interested in being a Jedi as I was in being the type of character that was on the margins of the screen. I didn't want to necessarily be Luke Skywalker or be like Luke Skywalker when I was playing the game. When I was playing the game, I wanted to be the guy who got his hands dirty, that made the rebellion possible so that the heroes could look even better. I guess I was sort of like the fall guy. I'm the unknown stuntman that made Eastwood such a star. And, there was, I think it was it?
Is this the crash service table?
Was it Rebel Assault and Rebel Assault 2? Was that the one where you had like an NPC character that went along with you, and like you could go through different levels that were like supposed to mirror the movie? And if I recall correctly, I could be recalling incorrectly, but I think Rebel Assault 2, there was an Endor level where you were on speeder bikes. I think it was that one. And
yes, there was. Yes.
Okay, in that one, that was a prime example of getting really frustrated with a game. That speeder bike level was, and again, I might be misremembering the title. If I am, we'll have a way to contact us at the end of the show. I invite you to. I will gladly be corrected on this. But like the speeder bike level on this game that I'm remembering as Rebel Assault 2 was such a son of a gun. It took me like a week to get through that level because there were all of these jumps that were just such pains in the butt, and it was so poorly. Were there any Star Wars games that you hated, that you didn't like, that they released?
I don't. I don't think so. I think I didn't really enjoy Star Wars Lego The Clone Wars because they kind of changed the game a little bit, and I didn't like the way they changed it. I didn't hate it though. But that was when it wasn't my favorite. And I think the only game that was a real letdown, I would say, is Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, because it just didn't live up.
That game was a disaster.
It just didn't live up to the first one. I mean, I don't hate it.
I do.
It's just, it had so much to live up to, and it just didn't. And that was what was frustrating, because, I mean, the original was so freaking good, except for pulling the Star Destroyer out of the sky, which really did make me want to throw my controller through the
Just because it was
TV.
tough?
It was so awful, so tough.
It was a pretty tough moment, yeah.
I mean, if you weren't moving those side controllers just right, you were freaking hosed. And so, but otherwise, that game was so epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the second one, it was just like,
See, the second one for me, I will straight up say that I completely disliked it because the cutscenes were actually longer than the gameplay. And by the end of the game, I was getting annoyed. I was like, enough story. Let me play. I got enough of this. I also didn't like they shoehorned in Boba Fett, and that always is the type of thing that irks me. Like Vader belonged because it was Vader's secret apprentice. That totally made sense. But like everything else was shoehorned in, and I didn't like it. But I can tell you, in terms of a game that disappointed me when I finally got around to playing it, and there are a lot of people that don't understand how I can feel this way, but Knights of the Old Republic,
I don't understand.
Bundle of meh.
Yeah, see, to me, what the Knights of the Old Republic is, especially that first one, is playing through the original Star Wars trilogy as Luke Skywalker. And you get to make the choice because the storyline is the same. There's the first movie, second movie, and third act, and it's all in that game, and you get to make those decisions and be that character and decide where you want to go. And it's as close to being a Jedi or a Sith as you'll ever get because you get to make those decisions. And that is my favorite game of all time still. My favorite video game.
See,
I love it.
Maybe it's just the way that I'm made up, but I mean, if you're going to talk about favorite of all time, I have to give favorite of all time hands down because I thought it had a brilliant story and terrific first-person action. Republic Commando.
Yeah.
Narrowly edges out Battlefront 2. Republic Commando, I thought, was everything that I wanted in a story. And again, it speaks to I enjoyed being the clone trooper more than and commanding the clone squad more than I would have enjoyed being a Jedi, because I enjoyed thinking tactically, attacking a target, breaking things down into chunks, assigning people missions, like you go over here, you go over there, I'm going to go over and I'm going to blow the door. Like that game spoke to me on so many levels. Plus it had a very cute, sort of like a Easter egg of you are on Geonosis and you see Grievous escape. Like your first hint of Grievous ever in the expanded universe or anything like that was his ship escaping in Republic Commando. Actually, I don't know if it predates Tartakovsky. Tartakovsky might predate it. Yes, I'm pretty sure Tartakovsky does predate it. But Republic Commando had that hint of Grievous. You saw his ship leave, and I was like, what? So, Tartakovsky's cartoon definitely predated it, but it predated episode 3, didn't it?
I believe it
Yeah,
does.
because Grievous's ship, it's been years since I played it, but I think Grievous's ship was actually accurate to the ship you saw in episode 3, if memory serves.
Yeah, the game came out in February of 2005.
Okay, so shortly beforehand.
It's definitely.
Okay.
Yep. So right before. It's funny you say that, and that is one of the main differences between us because, for me, around the same time, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy came out. And I loved that game because it's in the same vein as, Jedi Outcast and those games. And yet, you were a student at the academy and you got to create your own character, which was really fun. Like you could be a male, female, different species. You could choose what kind of lightsaber you wanted. Do you want one lightsaber? Do you want two lightsabers? Do you want a staff like Darth Maul, which was really cool. And then you got to chart your own course as well as like how, you wanted your character to turn out. You would either make the right decisions or the wrong decisions. You could be bad or good and, choose your force powers as you grew and all that stuff. And for me, man, that game, I still love that game. In fact, I have it, and I can play it on my Xbox 360. It doesn't look so good these days on a nice TV and all, but I can still play the game, and it's still a lot of fun. And you had some really cool moves you could do as a Jedi where you could, kind of run up, the side of a wall, and, flip around and, kill somebody, decapitate them, basically, with your lightsaber and stuff like that. So, yeah, just... Man, those games where I could live vicariously and be a Jedi,
You want to know something interesting is there's a game I think that we haven't mentioned yet that needs to be defended from my vantage point. A game that I think got a lot of unfair criticism when it came out because to me it was a big indication that Star Wars fans had started to lose their sense of fun. And Connect Star Wars is what I'm talking about. Because I actually found a lot of people hated Connect Star Wars because it had the dance competition. Okay?
Yes.
I thought the dance competition was cheesy and fun. Maybe it's a reminder to some of us, and I'm not excluding myself, that dancing is not the thing that the Lord put us on the earth to do. Maybe that is what stung so much about it.
Unless you're like Michael Jackson or something, you really got the moves.
But the pod racing part was great. I love that. I will say that the lightsaber stuff, not as responsive on a Connect as you would like it to be, but the pod racing thing was great. The little missions where you could be like the Rancor and you could just jump around wrecking things and beat up ATSTs and biker scouts. That's pretty fun, man. I mean, you want to talk about blowing off steam? I loved coming home and turning on Connect Star Wars and I'm going to be a Rancor on Tatooine today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wreck things. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think you're right in the sense that, the game was meant to be fun and open. It wasn't meant to be serious. Honestly, it was made more in the vein of the Star Wars Lego games than it was anything else. That Star Wars was supposed to be fun, and this is for the whole family to enjoy.
So do you think that maybe the reception of the video game, because the Star Wars Lego, I recently started playing it. I hadn't played it before.
Oh, yeah.
I recently started playing it because my daughter went over to her cousin's house. They had it. They loved it. She played it. I still had it. I hadn't really gotten into it. And I wonder, what is it? Is it an indication, do you think, I'm asking this question honestly, do you think that there's some sort of childlike sense of wonder that's been broken in the fans for a long time because they're not willing to relax about Star Wars and just have some fun with it?
I don't know. And that's a great question because from what I hear and what I see is that people love those Lego games.
Yeah, okay.
Like I do, and I know lots of other people do. And I think what is great about them is that they take the fun of Star Wars and they just kind of amplify it, make it a little bit goofier and show you the wackiness of it all. And man, the way they create those games and the way the little characters, the minifigs interact with each other and the little cut scenes they do, I mean, that's some great comedy writing.
It is.
It really is.
It is. Is it that the Lego part of it is just so much fun? Lego has never had any sort of fan backlash the way that Star Wars has through the prequels and stuff like that. Do you think that it's just that Lego has so much cachet that it helped bring people back to the fun of it? Because I can tell you that my daughter playing it's been great because there were parts of it that she couldn't think her way through. Okay, she could think her way through, but she was getting frustrated because it was taking a while. And it's turned into daddy-daughter time to sit down on the couch
It's
and
nice.
play a half hour. Like, we'll play a level in a half hour and everything. And I'll sit there and I'll be like, I will say that to this day, even though I have children and I'm playing with my daughter, I think the reason that I like playing single first-person shooter type of games is I am a terrible person to play a game with because I give order.
Just jump over there. Just jump over there. Come on.
I don't think
just jump.
I'm not quite at that level. But I will say that, say you're in battle, even in the Lego Star Wars game, and you're going around and your partner accidentally shoots you and you die. My daughter's gotten used to hearing me go, come on, really? Come on. You know where you're shooting, aren't you? Come on. And today I pulled one of those. It's in fun and everything, but I'm like, come on, really? And she looks at me, she goes, it's just a Lego game. I was like, I know, honey. I know. I'm just having fun with you. So it's a way to deal with things, to learn how to cope.
Well, and that's what's I think is kind of fun about those games too, is that they do have great little learning parts for kids about how to problem solve. I got to do this, and then I can do this, and then I can do this, and that gets me to the next part of this level. And I think that's really cool. It is just like Legos themselves. It has a way of actually teaching kids some things that are important in life, like critically thinking and problem solving. So.
I think that's a great point. And that actually, to be honest with you, I think the reason that it works so well with Star Wars, with anything Lucas, I'd love to see a Raiders of the Lost Ark Lego, because
they do have Indiana Jones.
Oh, they
Lego.
do?
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that that's Lucas's whole thing. He loves driving education for kids. Like you talk about a guy that loves, helping kids and helping them learn and grow. Lucas is your guy. So maybe it's just that Lego is just a great fit because of that reason. That,
yeah.
I mean, Star Wars is basically a movie for kids. Sorry, everybody. I mean, I'm a grown adult and I love it, but it speaks to the kid inside of you, like, Frosted Mini Wheats. And it's like, that's just the way that it is. And maybe it's just Lego is just a good fit. So you don't really have anything that stands out as like a giant goose egg misfire on the part of LucasArts.
Well, you have to remember this. So I did not grow up with a system at home. And so a lot of these games, I, either played on the computer when I could, or I had to go back and play. So I didn't get to be as big a gamer as a lot of kids did. And so when I did get the opportunity to buy these games and whatnot, I did some research and found the ones that were well liked or that I thought looked good, and so that I ended up playing the ones that I enjoyed.
So it's sort of a self-selection, is what you're saying, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's just,
exactly.
It's just the way that it is.
I wasn't a guy who got to go out and get every brand new Star Wars game and play it, because by the time I really got into being able to play some video games, I was already an adult, and sitting around and playing video games for 12 hours at a time just isn't feasible anymore.
Yeah.
And so I had to be very picky and choosy, and there were, I have to say, there were definitely plenty of nights, though, where I would be up too late playing, Knights of the Old Republic 2. I can still remember on the console playing that game till like 2 and 3 in the morning when I shouldn't have been up that late because I just couldn't stop.
Yep.
So
I hear you. Battlefront 2, even though it was different segmented games, that would be how it would let off a lot of steam.
Yeah, see, that's a game that I didn't enjoy that much because I don't like the free open thing as much. I like structure. I like the campaigns. Like, I don't like Halo, multiplayer. Sure. I like Halo, the campaign. So Battlefront was always more frustrating for me, especially the flying missions, because I am awful at
flying.
those.
I'm very rusty now. I got reminded not so long ago that I am too rusty, that I need to get my skills back up. But I used to be really, really good at those. Like I used to do things like specifically just test myself. And like there was a great bug where if you were in Venator Star Destroyer and you flew over and landed in the landing bay of a separatist ship, a frigate, like the Invisible Hand, what I would do is I would run around to all of the droid fighters, because for some reason they would have, droids have to go in and get in them like pilots. I would run around to all of those ships, and if you lifted them up for like 1 second and turned them around so they were facing the wall, then when they ran out to take off with the ships, they would run right into the wall. So you could take 6 ships out of commission, which gave your side an advantage while you ran in and you sabotaged the interior of the ship, which was really like saboteur stuff. Awesome. Was really the thing that I loved so much about Battlefront 2. But I believe that the Bespin map was in Battlefront 1. And maybe this says something about me that's dark and terrible, but going to Bespin, choosing the sniper class, and just hanging out in a prime position and just watching droids run across and just like timing it. I was like, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, drop them, breathe in, breathe out. I will say that maybe my one saving grace is I never chose to be a droid shooting people.
Maybe.
It's possible.
So there are some games that never got made that I am still frustrated that never got made.
13.
And for me, yes. And man, that I remember watching the trailer that they released for that game at it was at like an E3, and they released that trailer online, and I remember my jaw, figuratively just hitting the desk as I sat there watching that and I was just like, okay, this is the kind, definitely within your mold because there's no Jedi in it. But even to me, the game just looked phenomenal.
Yeah, no, 1313 is definitely the one that stands out. A lot of the other ones that they didn't make were like, massive multiplayer games. I'm not into the massive multiplayer stuff, man. I never have been.
No, yeah.
And it's like, an MMORPG is, please, John, don't play me. Like that's just basically what it is. Like, it's like that World of...
Yeah, I just don't have time for that.
Yeah, it's like that World of Warcraft thing where like you got to leave your computer running when you're asleep or something. It's like, I don't care enough. I just don't.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I was always frustrated because, they didn't make Knights of the Old Republic 3. They just made Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMORPG, and I don't want to do that. The closest I ever got to playing a game somewhat like that, except it was a closed system, was Fable and 2 and 3. And those games were very open. There's a lot you can do. You could run around for hours. Way more hours than you ever should doing stuff. But I like the structure of you get in, you play a level, and you get out. You get in, you play the game, you're done. You can go back and, a lot of the Star Wars games, especially when it involved Jedi, you could go in and play different ways and have different outcomes.
Sure.
So that actually gave you some nice replay value. But I just, for me personally, I guess I just didn't have the life where I got so sucked into video games because I didn't get to play them as much as other people did. So I wasn't as addicted to being, just in there playing for hours with other people. I didn't have my Leroy Jenkins moment. So
one last question before we go to wrap it up. If they were to make the absolute perfect Star Wars game, I think we've gotten from you the ability to play a Jedi, mission-based, contained game, not an MMORPG. What is your dream scenario? Time period? Storyline? Just real quick, give me your 30-second elevator pitch for a game that you want LucasArts to make.
I think it would be an incredible game to have Anakin and Obi-Wan between episodes 1 and 2, as Anakin is where they're just approaching episode 2, but it's before that, and just an amazing, incredible story that could be canon at this point, where you have them go on incredible adventures together, and be able to live what it was like to be a prequel Jedi before the war hit, you know?
Okay.
And solve. And then what's great about that game is that you get to solve different types of missions. There could be diplomatic missions and aggressive negotiation missions and all different types of things. So you really are getting the flavor of what it's. I mean, it's not just a lightsaber game. It's a game that's going to require, your brain as well. And I think that would just be, to me, just a really cool experience as a Star Wars fan.
Okay.
And a really special experience, too.
For me, my ideal game, and as much as I've talked about loving the first-person shooter, you could suck me into a story game or an RPG type game. I would want a game. This would be brilliantly fun to me. You are Sidious between episodes 2 and 3, and you have to work to keep your identity secret while advancing the war. So it's a strategy game, a brain game, and then every so often somebody finds out your secret, and it's a hunt them down and punish them game. Because you can't call Dooku back to Coruscant. You got to take care of it yourself. That's a game that I would absolutely play, and it would invert the whole script, because typically it's the hero getting to some point. You're working toward the point of getting Sidious undetected to episode 3.
Man, John, I think that would just be an incredible game. I don't think
they have the brass to make it.
Yeah, no, probably not. Because the canon question, yada yada yada. But no, that would be amazing. I'd love playing that.
That'd be very. I agree. Yeah,
and I don't usually like playing Sith, but when you're playing the ultimate Sith, yeah.
I mean, how could you go wrong? But I'll tell you what, Matt. I think that we should give people the opportunity to tell us their favorite game, or a game that they think would work really well in the Star Wars universe, be it a console game or a PC game. And they can reach out to us actually through our email for the show, an@thenerdparty.com. And they could also reach out to us on the Facebook page for the network, which is facebook.com/thenerdparty. And Matt, where can they reach out to you? Where can they find you online?
Well, they can reach out to me through the show's Twitter account at The Jedi Masters. And then, of course, the Nerd Party also has a Twitter account at Join Nerd Party. And then, of course, you can also find me personally on Twitter at MattRushing02. And I also do some shows on the Trek FM network, which you can find me on. Literary Treks, talking about the books and the comics of Star Trek. I'm on The Orb, talking about Deep Space Nine. And I also do the General Geek Show there, the 602 Club, talking about all things geeky that don't have to do with Star Trek. So also, if the listeners want to help out the show, they can really do that. And in fact, not just the show, but the Nerd Party in general, by signing up for Loot Crate, because we are partners with Loot Crate. And man, if people don't know about Loot Crate, they need to, because it's just phenomenal. You get a subscription box every month, just chock full of goodies for the geek-minded collector. I mean, we're talking t-shirts, we're talking figurines, pop figures, all sorts of amazing things. And I think, John, if I'm not mistaken, this box is the future.
The future.
So, yeah. So where can everybody go and get this great subscription for Loot Crate?
Well, not only can they go and get a subscription to Loot Crate, they can get a discount as listeners of a Nerd Party show. If you go to lootcrate.com/nerdparty and enter the code NERDPARTY, you do need to enter that code, you will get a discount on your order. And I can say that I won't lie, skeptical of Loot Crate before I learned about it. Now that I have learned about it, I am a subscriber and I love it. It's a fantastic service. It is so much fun. And I encourage everybody to try it out. It is really, really cool.
Maybe they can show you what they got, John. So where can people find you online so that they can show you all their goodies?
I want to be very clear. Only send me pictures of what you get from Loot Crate. No other pictures. Please, no other pictures.
You don't want pictures of their cats and stuff?
Okay, I like cats. Cats are cool. Yeah. But you can reach out to me on Twitter, Kessel Junkie. I'm on the Trek FM network on a show called Stage 9. And I am on another podcast with my pal Craig called Words with Nerds that you can find. And would love to run across you there. But in the meantime, please feel free. Reach out to the show. Reach out to Matt. Reach out to me. We love interacting with people. And we can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about the different video games.
And John, not only that, but if you really do want to help out specifically us here at Aggressive Negotiations to help more people find the show, go to iTunes and give us a star rating and review, because that really does help us out. It helps people find us. You know, there are a plethora of Star Wars shows out there, but we like to think that ours is special, and the best way for people to find us is for you to give us a star rating and review, and that just helps people. When they type in Star Wars podcast, it helps us rise in those rankings. So people are like, oh, that one looks interesting. I'll try that. So give us that star rating and review. And when you do, we will make sure, no matter what the review is and what the star rating is, we'll make sure you get mentioned in the show for spending a few minutes giving us a star rating and review.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be great. And I think it's time to close negotiations.
John, negotiations are closed.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.